The moment she said it, the room went still. Not in a dramatic way. Not with gasps or slamming chairs. Just still. Like everyone suddenly forgot how to breathe. We were gathered in the living room of the house we grew up in. The walls still smelled faintly of Dad's cologne and Mom's lavender drawer sachets. The table was covered in old photos and legal folders no one wanted to open. And then my sister looked up from her wine glass and said it. I mean, technically she's adopted, so the house would go to me, right? That was all. One sentence, barely above a whisper, but loud enough. I stared at her face. Calm as always, her voice smooth, matter of fact, like we were talking about taxes. She didn't even look at me, just swirled her wine and waited. One cousin cleared his throat. Another avoided eye contact. My aunt leaned back in her chair. No one said anything. I stood there holding a casserole dish I had baked that morning in the same oven Mom taught me how to use. My hands didn't shake, but my stomach turned slowly. Adopted, I said finally, not asking, just repeating. She smiled then. A small thing. Tilted her head like she was surprised I even responded. I'm not saying it like it's bad, she said, just that it explains some things. I nodded once, then walked to the kitchen and set the dish down. I didn't speak for the rest of the evening. I helped clean up, took the trash out, hugged the relatives who would still hug me. Then I stepped outside and didn't look back. I didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because it wasn't new. My sister had always found ways to cut me. This was just the sharpest. When Mom got sick, I moved home. She didn't. When Dad fell and needed help to shower, I was the one who held the towel. She sent flowers. When the medical bills came in, my name was on the checks. Hers was on the group text, but she was the first to speak when the lawyer asked about the house. She was the one who claimed the living room like it was hers before the rest of us even sat down. She was the one who told everyone that our parents always meant for her to have it. I didn't argue, not at first. I thought it was grief, but now I know it was greed. She didn't need to convince the lawyer. She needed to convince the room. And the fastest way to do that was to make me not just unworthy of the house, but unrelated to it. I walked home that night under a sky that felt too quiet. I passed the old church where we used to sing in the youth choir. I passed the grocery store where Mom would buy us candy if we got good grades. I passed places that remembered me, even if she didn't. By the time I reached my apartment, the shock had faded. What remained was something else. Not anger, not even sadness, just a cold kind of clarity. She had drawn a line. She had made her claim. Now it was my turn. But I wasn't going to fight her with stories. I was going to fight her with facts. And the first place I was going to start was the box Mom left in the back of her closet. The one only I knew was there. It started before we even knew what it meant. She had the nicer room, the one with the bigger window. She got the first pick at the breakfast table, the seat next to Mom in the car. When we were kids, it just seemed like chance, like timing. But as we got older, I noticed the patterns didn't change. She got new shoes when I got hand-me-downs. She got encouraged. I got corrected. She made mistakes and was called adventurous. I made the same ones and was told to be more careful. I never hated her for it, not then. Because when you grow up with imbalance, you start to believe it's normal, that maybe you really are just less. Less deserving, less important, less seen. I found my place in the background, helping with chores before being asked, staying quiet during dinner, bringing home good grades, and hoping that would be enough to get a smile. It usually wasn't. She was the talker, the one who lit up rooms and made people laugh. I was the one who stayed to clean up after they left. When she moved away for college, they threw her a party. When I moved home to care for Mom, there was no party. Just a key and a list of prescriptions. When she visited, she brought wine. I brought medicine. When she left, she posted pictures. I stayed and held Dad's hand when he forgot where he was. But none of that mattered when she looked across that room and said I wasn't really one of them. That word adopted carried more weight than any of us realized. It meant outsider, other, optional. But there was something she didn't know. Something Mom never told anyone, not even her. In the back of the linen closet, there was a box, taped shut, labeled only with my name in Mom's handwriting. I found it the week after her funeral. I hadn't opened it, not out of fear, out of respect. But now I had to. I sat on the floor of my apartment, pulled the lid off slowly. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Me as a baby, in the hospital, in Dad's arms, with Mom in the rocking chair, birthdays, school plays, handmade cards, report cards, notes in Mom's handwriting, and at the very bottom, a sealed envelope. I opened it with shaking hands. It was a letter, dated 5 years ago, my birthday, my name written across the top in gentle loops. She wrote about the day I was born, about how much I looked like Dad, about how scared she was to be a mother again after 10 years. She wrote about how I was unexpected, but exactly what she needed. She said I was hers in every way that mattered, and more. There was a copy of my birth certificate, folded, crisp, issued at the same hospital where my sister was born. Same last name, same parents, same blood. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I doubted it, but because part of me had started to. Not in logic, but in feeling. That's what happens when people repeat lies. They echo, even in the silence. I put the papers back in the envelope. I didn't call anyone, not yet. I wanted to wait, because I knew my sister. She wouldn't stop at a comment. She would reinforce it, shape it, tell others, create a narrative. I could feel it happening already. The subtle shift in texts, the unanswered calls, the invitations that would never come. I knew she'd try to seal the lie with silence, but I wasn't afraid anymore, because I had something stronger than her stories. I had proof, and when the time came, I wouldn't raise my voice. I wouldn't beg for belief. I would just lay it down in front of them, quiet, clear, unshakable, and then let them choose who to believe. She didn't stop at that one sentence. She let it grow, fed it slowly. A quiet conversation here, a hesitant look there. She planted the idea like it was concern. "I just think it's something we need to talk about," she said to my uncle over coffee. "I mean, she deserves love, but inheritance is legal, you know?" I let her talk. I let her build her version, because I knew the higher she stacked it, the louder it would collapse. I wasn't angry anymore. I was alert. I started collecting everything: copies of my birth certificate, photographs with dates, letters Mom had written to me. I scanned them, saved them in folders, printed backups. I found my medical records. Same blood type as Dad, same hospital notes. I wasn't just proving a point. I was protecting myself, and I knew the right time would come. The tipping point. It came faster than I expected. A letter from the estate lawyer. Not official yet. Just a note that a motion had been filed to name my sister as sole inheritor. Her reason: she claimed I had no legal tie to the family, that I was adopted and unnamed in any will. The lawyer asked me gently if I had a response. I said yes, and I asked for a meeting. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't tell anyone. I showed up early, sat across from the man who used to help Dad with tax forms. I laid out my file. He read through everything slowly. His eyes narrowed at the copy of my birth certificate, at Mom's letter, at a notarized statement from a neighbor who had known me since the crib. He looked up. "You know this changes everything," he said. I nodded. "I know." He leaned back in his chair. "Why now?" he asked. "Why didn't you speak when she first said it?" I looked him in the eye. Because she needed to believe it first. Now she does. And so does everyone else. It was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I'll schedule a new reading, this time with both of you present." I left the office calmly, not triumphant, not smug, just steady, like someone who finally stopped floating and found ground. That night, I got a message from my cousin. I heard about the paperwork. "Is it true," she told everyone, "you never had a birth record?" I replied with a photo of the document. No words, just fact. She sent back, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I believe you." One by one, the messages came. quiet apologies, regretful silence. She didn't reply. Not until the night before the new meeting. She called. I didn't answer. She sent a message. Just one line. You're really doing this? I didn't reply. Because I already had. Through every piece of proof, every memory I protected, every scar she thought I'd cover, the truth was no longer mine to defend. It stood on its own. And soon she'd have to stand in front of it. The room looked exactly like it had the last time we all sat there. Same chairs, same long table, same faces. But this time, the silence felt different. Not heavy with grief, heavy with tension. My sister sat at the head of the table again, confident, dressed in soft beige, her fingers laced together, her mouth already ready to explain. The lawyer cleared his throat. Thank you all for coming. We've called this meeting to clarify certain matters concerning the estate. There have been questions regarding inheritance eligibility. I have reviewed documents submitted by both parties. My sister looked confused, then irritated. What documents? She asked. The lawyer looked at me. I opened the folder, passed it down. No one spoke as they read. One by one, the pages moved along the table. Birth certificate, hospital record, letter from mom, photos from the delivery room, Dad's handwriting on the back of one of them, my birthday, my name, my parents, all there, no questions, just truth. She said nothing for a long time. Her mouth tightened, then loosened, then opened. These could be fake, she said, quietly, weakly, but no one echoed her. The lawyer looked at her calmly. We verified everything, official copies, registry match, witness accounts. Her hands dropped to her lap. So what now? She asked. Her voice was low. The lawyer turned a page. The house was left equally to both daughters, as stated in the supplemental note filed with the original documents. Equal, my name included, no asterisks, no disclaimers. My uncle looked at her. You said she was adopted. She looked at me then, for the first time in weeks. No words, just eyes that couldn't meet mine long enough. I didn't gloat. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The table was full of answers. No explanation required. She stood up slowly, said she needed air, walked out without a sound. The door didn't slam, but it closed. Soft, defeated. Someone asked if I wanted to follow. I said no. Let her breathe. Let her feel what it means to be outside a truth you can't rewrite. After the meeting ended, I stayed back. The lawyer handed me a sealed envelope. Your mother left this in her private file, said it was only to be shared if needed. I opened it in the car. Another letter, short, to my girls. If you are reading this, something has gone wrong. You were both born from my body, but not both of you learned to be kind. Do not let property take the place of love. If you must choose between being right and being good, choose being whole. I closed the envelope slowly, folded it back into its sleeve, and sat there, not angry, not victorious, just tired, but finally seen. It took her 3 weeks to say anything. No calls, no messages, no sudden visits. Just quiet, like she hoped the truth would settle like dust and cover itself again. I didn't chase her. I didn't expect remorse. But I also didn't expect the envelope. It came on a Thursday. No name, no return address. Just my handwriting on a folded note I'd written years ago and left on her birthday gift. You always get what you want. I hope it never makes you lose who you are. Inside was a key, the spare to the house, and one photo, me and her, on the porch. Ages ago, laughing, our knees touching. On the back in her handwriting, 5 words barely visible in pencil. You always belonged more than me. That was it. No apology, no plea, no excuses. But I understood. Some truths are too sharp to say out loud. She didn't want to be forgiven. She wanted to be remembered. I folded the note, held the key for a moment, then placed it in the drawer beside Mom's letter. The house didn't matter anymore. The walls, the land, the paperwork. What mattered was, I didn't need to prove who I was to anyone ever again. And neither did she. She lost the house, But what broke her wasn't losing the walls. It was realizing how far she'd gone to keep them, and how little she had left to come home to.